Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, the Liberal Loudmouth, and as always, I am here with.
The real Ron is here at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday morning.
Ooh,
Oh my gosh, Tim.
I just woke up, Ron.
Did you
Gosh,
know that plants have a central nervous system, and every time you mow your yard, you are causing pain to everybody
uh,
that is in your yard?
yeah, that makes me just pure carnivore. That's where I'm going with that one.
I
And
say
I'm
we throw
never
away
mowing my yard
lawnmowers.
again.
Yeah, we just throw away lawnmowers and we go organic.
I'm about to
Um,
lobby the city to ban all mowing because
yeah,
mowing is murder.
mow. That is the new slogan. Hashtag mowing is
Mowing is
murder.
murder. Let's get that out there. That aside, y'all, we got a great show for
Oh my
today.
gosh.
We have Melissa Provenzano coming on.
Is it
We've been.
Provenzano or Provenzano?
It is Provenzano. Forgive me, I am used to saying Provenzano, but Provenzano is the correct pronunciation.
Man,
Thank you for the correction.
I hope she brushed her hair.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and bring her in. Melissa, what is up?
Hold on, I'm still brushing my hair from running.
Oh,
Oh, wait, I
going,
actually gotta fix it.
what's going on, lady? Hey, appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much because
You
we
bet.
we love. I don't know if you've watched, and I don't mean to take over for you, Tim, but we love. This is what Tim and I do. He's a super liberal, and I'm not super conservative. Most people in my party hate me, but we try to bring everybody together and have this difficult conversation between the parties. And here in Oklahoma, we're like 80-20 as far as Republicans and Democrats, but I think we all have to work. So thank you so much for coming on. That's from me.
You bet.
Yeah.
I definitely get the unicorn vibes often. I'm like, I just feel like this tiny little blue dot. But hey, I'm here.
Yeah, Blue Dot. I know somebody with that in their Twitter name.
Oh
Blue-
yeah,
Blue
I
dot.
forgot about that.
Diary. Yeah,
I think
know.
she's actually made TikTok videos about me with a guitar in my bathtub. I'm not sure, but that's
Oh,
a
man.
different story. But
That's another story.
That
Yeah.
sounds
But no.
like a later in the day conversation.
yeah,
Yes,
it's
that's
11
more
o'clock.
like
Yeah.
after 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ron,
Oh, my goodness.
we'll save that one for our own show.
Yeah,
Everybody
we'll save that for
watches it. They already know about this story.
we'll save that for the After Dark series.
So if you want, we give everybody opportunity to just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, that kind of thing.
You bet. You bet. So
Include any felonies that you have.
you got it. That'll be
Okay.
the first thing I probably don't talk about. Now, Melissa Provenzano, I live in Tulsa. I represent the Woodland Hills Mall, St. Francis area, Union Public Schools, Tulsa Public Schools. I used to, won election in 2018. Be a high school principal. And so when I got to the legislature, I'm like, oh, this is exactly the same. the hormones are everywhere. And so I fit right in, and it was good. But I've been there for 5 years, and so far so good. I tend to try and focus on education policy, and then like my second position is, what does the constituent need from me today, and pretty much either pass education bills or a constituent request. And so far it's served me well, I think. So far, I'm helping folks.
I want to ask real quick, and this is how the show goes. I usually talk over everybody, but why did you decide to run? And I want to get back to the education bills because that's like the first thing I would like to talk about.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sure. So I've been a principal or an assistant principal for about a decade in 2018-ish. And every single year, my school or me personally, I had to cut my budget every year, either from the federal or the state side or whatever. And I just got sick of it. And, we're all idealistic when we're like, I'm going to go save the planet. And I decided to sign up to run, pull the numbers. I'm in a very purple leaning red district. Weldon Watson had turned out, and so it was an open seat, and I'm like, well, you know what, I'm gonna to give it my all. And I think I knocked so many doors, like to where I got bruises. And I talked to anybody that would answer the door, and just like mostly you do listening, and because people just want to be asked, what's going on, what's important to you, and education was my top platform. And just at that time it was, funding, but like as you dig into it, it's like there's so many different moving parts to public education in Oklahoma. And I just kind of, if I can't necessarily do this, what am I going to do next? And so that's what I spent a lot of time doing.
Well,
Nice.
let me ask you, what do you think, like right now in this moment, because Ryan Walters is putting us in the spotlight, Oklahoma in the spotlight.
Yeah.
What do you think is something that really needs to change in the way that we currently do stuff, aside from funding issues?
Oh, sure. We got to calm the temperature down, especially here in Tulsa. I mean, I also represent Union Public Schools, several different of those sites. And on the daily, they're getting bomb threats. I mean, come on.
Yeah, wow.
And the teachers are frazzled. The students are frazzled. For a while there, their attendance tanked, which directly impacts the dollars that you get from the state because you don't have the kid there. You're not getting paid for the kid, and it was just calming the teacher, the whole chaos down, and leaning into the superintendent. It feels like there's a constant churn of what's going to happen next, instead of what do we do to support schools, and we need to shift that conversation to what is it that you need. I spent a lot of time as a principal going, okay, I'm the guide on the side, and you're the teacher teaching English, and I can speak English. And so I feel like, I have some things to offer, but what is it that you need from me? I'm going to go get that for you. And that's where we need to be focusing our efforts, I think.
It's just, like what the kids are needing in that moment or whatever, and going and figuring out how to get it.
Yeah. And I mean, usually I would ask my teachers, I'm like, okay, financially, like if you have something like a book series that you want or whatever, I need a list on my desk. So when federal money comes across my desk, I go boom, 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 and go get that for you. And it took a while before they believed me that I would do that. But, if you're a boss of any kind, worth your salt, you're taking care of your people,
Right.
and what is it that they need to be able to do their job. And, we started turning the ship around here in Tulsa. And, oh, man, to be honest, my health started failing. Because it will take everything you will give, being a teacher, being a principal, and it's never done. Just like this job, a lot of people have second jobs, and I'm like, where do you find the time? But during my first session, I drove for Lyft because, like, here's principal salary, here's this, state representative salary, and I'm like, wow, this is different. And so that was interesting. I had lots of different conversations until my husband's like, I don't know if this is safe anymore.
Did you do Lyft out in OKC or
No,
here
I did
in
during
Tulsa?
the summers and in the fall.
That's also a good opportunity to just have random conversations with random people too.
Yes, and people will tell you pretty much anything, even things you don't want to know.
People tell me shit all the time I don't want to know.
Exactly.
So Melissa, let me take, because we're talking about education, Ryan Walters and stuff, and I know that is it. I keep forgetting Miss Munson, the minority leader.
Yes, Leader Munson.
Leader Munson. And we have Andy. Andy Fugate, right?
Yes.
I love that dude.
Love Andy.
He goes, you absolutely need to go on. I'm like, are you sure? And he goes, yes. And I'm like, all right, and I trust him implicitly. So here I am.
Next time he comes on, I told him, you have to wear the bow tie, son. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah. Ask him if he's the barking chihuahua.
I love Andy. He comes on all the time. But we talked to Andy. He's actually going to come on next week, I believe.
Good.
But I love Andy. But I saw that if people in Oklahoma, if you're watching the show right now, you probably don't realize that I think Oklahoma is like the most super majority state as far as House of Representatives go. 101 to 20. Or there's 101 and then it's
81-20.
81-20. Yeah.
We actually had 19. We picked up a seat this last cycle. And
Progress.
Well,
if
it's
you ask a conservative, they'd be like, "Oh my God, they're taking over, y'all." They gained a seat.
That's exactly what people are. But for the last 6 years, y'all, the Democrats have lost seats. It used to be like 70-30.
Yeah.
If I'm correct. So, are we getting? I guess. Do you lose motivation? Because my man Jakey, I call him Jakey Poo because I love him. Oh. I've actually made videos supporting this dude, Jacob Rosecrans.
Oh yeah.
He just refuses to talk to me. I don't know why anybody doesn't love me, but anyway, it's like do you lose motivation when you're in a super majority that you just feel like there's no way we can get anything accomplished that is on our agenda because we have people like Shane Jett and Nathan Dahm and all these right wingers that are just way out there. I mean, they're even like, I'm like, don't touch me.
You know, honestly, as a Democrat in Oklahoma, I mean, yes and no, Ron. I think that's a fair question because it can be pretty defeating because we file a lot of bills and, you know, percentage wise, we don't even get 20% of, you know, of the legislation. If you're looking at, you know, everybody gets a bill, that sort of thing. But what we have to do, and it can be very frustrating when you have very big ideas, but where I spend a lot of my time is focusing on just common sense apolitical stuff that just helps people. And it, gosh, and Jacob has really big ideas as well, and I'll let him, you know, speak to those. But, you know, with education, I was like, okay, so if I can't necessarily impact the budget, teachers, you know, teachers in my district, how do I help you? You know, and they're like, professional development is crushing. Every year we're like sitting and watching the same dang bloodborne pathogen video over and over and over again. And I've got that thing memorized from 10 years ago. And so that's where I spent a lot of my time up to now.
Let me say this.
Stuff like that.
Tim, before you get to the comments, or go ahead. Yeah.
I just wanted to say Jonathan Arnold said, mad props to Representative Provenzano for actually talking to people. Thank you.
Jonathan Arnold, thank you.
Yeah.
Jonathan's a good dude. I like Jonathan. I was going to say, you sit on the education committee for the House of Representatives.
Yeah, I sit on the Common Education Committee as well as the full appropriations and budget where all the budget stuff comes.
So the chair and vice chair, Mark Van Kuren used to be Tim and I's representative.
Yeah.
And we've sat down with him and Monroe Nichols. Monroe is actually going to come on next week.
I love that dude.
I like Monroe too. I mean, we talk about sports. I don't agree with what he says mainly, but when we're talking about sports, we even we almost fist fought at Matt Eats about Broncos. But anyway,
he's over exaggerating.
You will never be a bigger Dallas Cowboys fan than Nichols.
I know.
Wicked smart and wicked funny, and tease it out of him. And I'm like, did you just say that? That's freaking hilarious.
Yeah. I love Monroe. So he's going to be on next week. But we sat down with these guys, and Tim actually, Tim, I don't know if I can say this or not, but I'm going to say it because that's what I do.
Oh, God. What's about to come out of Ron's mouth?
Yeah, that's what I've had people be like. I woke up with a notification that said, Ron Cosby tagged you in a post, and they're like, oh, my life's ruined. No. Here's the thing. Tim drafted an email to the Common Education Committee.
Yeah.
And he sent it off to everybody. And then I copied and pasted the same email.
Yeah.
And I sent it to the Education Committee, and Rhonda Baker, I believe is her name, the chair.
Yeah.
Had another member of the committee call me personally and talk to me. Tim hasn't received a reply from anybody.
I still haven't.
When was that?
It was last year. So the email was about that. I don't remember what the bill
switching
name was, but it was
the school boards to
moving the election. So in all I asked in the email was, will you please just let it out of the committee? Just let it come to a floor vote. Like, you know, you can agree or disagree, but there's a lot of people that want this. Yeah. And I mean,
so many people watching right now. This is awesome.
No, that's great.
So, and I didn't get the response, and I'm like, and then Ron calls me and he's like, I just got off the phone with it. Was it Tedford?
Yeah, Mark Tedford called me.
Yeah.
And he called me. He called me and said that. He called me and said, Rhonda Baker called me and told me to call you.
Even though he literally copied word for word the email that I had sent.
And Tim sent it first.
Yeah. So is there like an internal rule for that? You know, that was
so it's 100% up to the chair and vice chair what gets heard in committee. And so I think for the rest of us, probably like, well, you know, we'll see what happens. And I know that was a hot button topic and it continues to be. And you kind of got to navigate it. I don't have too much of an issue with it as long as you move it to like a nonpartisan election.
Right.
So, you know, like city
election.
I agree. But if you tie it up with partisan elections, then it starts to look and feel that way, and that's what school boards are not designed to be.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, but procedurally, it would be Chairwoman Baker's decision whether or not to hear it.
Well, and that's what Mark Van Kuren told us, and I don't have a problem calling out Mark because whatever. Mark Van Kuren, he was honest with us. He's like, people always blame the lobbyist on killing bills and stuff like that, but more so, it's usually the leadership,
like in the
that kills your bills.
Right.
Leadership or lobbyists getting to the leadership. I mean,
that's. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. She makes a fair point, Ron.
Behind the scenes, you never know what conversations. I mean, it took me like 2 solid years to figure out all the back doors were in this place and what not to say and who not to say it to, to make sure things moved forward. And
how many steak dinners have you been on, Melissa?
Far fewer than and it
at least she was honest. At least she was honest.
I mean, Western Sizzling. No,
right. Western Sizzling. Hey, don't knock the Western Sizzling now. So I do want to, in the middle of this, I want to say, Jennifer, thank you for coming on. She's telling you thank you for coming on, and she has questions about public safety. So at any point to the audience, if you have a question about anything, feel free to put it up there.
Oh, my man Lane Brown's up there,
and we'll put it in there. And Lane also says that he thinks, oh Lord, whenever I tag him in a post. So Ron and I think maybe have that effect on people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and honestly, I really enjoy being on that committee because by and large, most of us are educators, former principals, former teachers, former school board members. And so, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't respond. I've been on that committee for 5 years now, but I kind of probably thought, oh, that's Chairwoman Baker's decision. And so,
I mean, I didn't bring it up to, or we didn't bring it up to like throw shade on anybody. I was like, why are you going to call Ron? And I'm a Democrat.
Yeah,
I'm a Democrat. I didn't even get a call from my Democrat colleagues, and there's so few of us here.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of brought it up to throw shade on Van Kuren because he sat there and told us that the reason the bills weren't going to the floor was because of leadership. And I'm like, you're leadership, dude. Yeah. You have an overwhelming majority of constituents that want this bill to go to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you're not allowing it out of committee. That's BS.
Well, and there's getting it out of committee, and then there's getting it on the floor, and those are two equally Herculean tasks.
And then once it gets to the floor, I'm sorry, Tim. It's the leader.
Yeah.
It's the leader or the pro tem's decision whether it goes to the floor.
So this is insider baseball that I know next to nothing about, but what I've been told is the leadership team meets like every day after session ends. They're like, okay, here's the bills for next, and anyone on that leadership team can put a hold on a bill, no questions asked. And so then you find out you've got a hold, and then you got to go navigate, those back doors. And why is there a hold? How can I help? Who do I need to talk to? That sort of thing. It can be a challenge for a politically hot topic to get on the floor, unless it's beneficial to someone in leadership.
Wow.
Did I say that out loud?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's the truth, it's the truth.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, Democrats were in power, and the same type, for everyone to go, same type of stuff happened.
For sure.
And it's pendulum. And it just and what we need is the pendulum to kind of balance a little bit instead of way to the left or way to the right, because we could do so much better. And like maybe a lot of the crazy on the left and the right wouldn't really rise to the top then as well. So
it's so funny you bring that up, because I was actually talking about the pendulum swinging too far one way or the other just last night.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's better whenever you have close to the same amount of people, Republicans and Democrats, because then they start to bring in more common sense legislation, because they have to give concessions in order to get the other side to say, yeah, okay, we can do that. But
well, like for example, I actually, you asked about what can a Democrat do in a super majority state. So I had a constituent reach out to me and say, so I had my mammogram, and
that's TMI. That's TMI.
I'm going to go way into it, Ron.
Okay, do it. Let's do it. You got pictures? What? Let's do it.
So no, but I'll just let you sit with that. But anyway, so this woman had her mammogram, And she said, well, I need this second more expensive test. And my insurance company says I got to pay about $1,200 to get it. I don't have $1,200. I'm a single mom. I'm just not going to get it. And I'm like, so they see something on this annual screening and you're not going to go get it checked out by well, I can't afford it. And so I reached out to Susan G. Komen, and then we have just pods of organizations all over the state that of women trying to help other women get these diagnostic tests. And so Susan G. Komen said, yeah. And they like assigned me a lobbyist, and we pushed that sucker through. And so now in the state, all diagnostic mammograms, if you have insurance in the state of Oklahoma, are covered $0 out of pocket. And women
I love that.
$400 to $1,200 a month, or I'm sorry, $1,200 a year for it. That was apolitical.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it should be.
And, you know, men and women, both sides of the aisle, either had breast cancer, their wives had breast cancer, their sisters, their mothers, you name it. And I mean, every woman except for one signed on to the bill, and most of the men, didn't matter the party, you know. And God, can we do that more? Can we do that more?
Right.
That would be so awesome. We actually help people. So anyway,
You know why we can't do that more?
Tell me why.
This is what I'm thinking, and this is why people in my party hate me. It's because on different topics, you have religion come into it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what was the pushback? Did you get any pushback on that?
The only pushback we got was on the Senate side, rather small, really, but insurance companies saying, "Yeah, we don't really want to do this." But and Brenda Stanley, bless her, she was the Senate author, and she's like, "We're going to sit down and we'll figure this out. Nobody's leaving this room." Very, very much mom, because her husband, she talks about it openly, died from cancer. And she's like, had we been able to detect it earlier, he might still be with us. Fred Stanley, you know, I don't know how many times I heard, you know, and she was like, we're going to get this done, period, in the story. And it just like flowed through because it was the right thing to do, you know, and instead of passing all these bills, let's pass the ones that really pack a punch.
Right. That's a layup. That's the easy one.
Yeah.
There's no discussion about that. Yeah.
Well,
I gotta say hi to Brian. I gotta say hi to Brian Issam right now.
What's up, Brian? Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of your focus.
Yeah.
It has to be then.
Yeah.
I mean, in that regard.
Yeah. I mean, constituent services, really, if you're worth your salt, you have the leadership is going to deal with the big things, you know. But like, I had a teacher reach out to me whose husband is a veteran, and every year he comes to her school and does like this presentation on 9/11, and the 9/11 Flag of Remembrance Foundation, they call it the Freedom Foundation, they have now a 9/11 flag, and they're like, could you get this to be the official flag for Oklahoma for remembering 9/11? And it comes with it a curriculum to teach kids. Every kid in school today was not alive when this happened. It's so weird because we all, I remember exactly where I was.
I do too.
When that happened, and it's just sort of a thing they know about in the rear view mirror. You know, if you're in school now, and things like that are practical. You know, my dad was a veteran, and he's like, heck yes, Melissa. Okay, so we're
good on your dad.
Yeah.
Thank your dad for his service.
Well, he's passed away, or I would.
Oh.
So, anyway, it is. I lost him 2 years ago now. So.
Anyway. What branch did he serve in?
He was in the Army. He served during.
Mine too. Mine was too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He served during Vietnam, but in
yes.
And he worked on nuclear warheads. Got exposed to Agent Orange, and came back.
That was horrible.
Yeah, and just really struggled, honestly. And he would openly talk about veterans' mental health issues and the physical health issues, you know, because nobody in our family had multiple sclerosis or leukemia, but he got it. You know,
my
stuff like that.
My ex-wife, I'm going through a divorce right now, Melissa. I don't know if you're single or not, but I'm going through a divorce.
Oh my God.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know what show you thought you'd come on, but yeah. Anyway, my father flew a Cobra in Vietnam. He wasn't exposed to that type of stuff, but my ex's grandfather was exposed, and He died a horrible death because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad just struggled and struggled and struggled and struggled. And then finally, during COVID, he was afraid to leave the house. And I'm like, all right, hate politics. And when I told him I was running, he's like, why in the world would you do that? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a difference. And he's like, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Hey,
But,
hey, Tim, let's lighten it up a little bit. Pull
Yeah.
up Lane. Pull up.
Oh, here it
Lane's
is. Lane, I actually, Lane made a liar out of me here. I told Melissa that Lane would be the first one to ask a question with this. I guess technically it was. Do you believe in aliens? All right, let's get into it.
Every
Sure.
politician has answered this.
You bet. So, like,
In
okay,
some way.
everybody's familiar with the movie Contact, right?
Yeah.
Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
Jodie Foster.
Oh,
yeah. I love Jodie Foster. Yeah.
Key quote in the movie: "If there isn't, it's an awful waste of space." Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I told you guys earlier my background's in I was a science teacher, and it just makes sense that there are a million other planets, and for us to be the only one seems illogical.
Yeah.
So yeah, and plus it would be so cool.
Right. Right. Got to hold on to that hope.
I know.
Well, it might be cool unless they're like, I don't know, Independence Day type cool. I don't.
Or like flesh-eating amoeba, bad,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sort of thing. Okay,
Yeah.
duly noted.
If they're like
But-
Ewok, cool, that'd be cool.
But,
yeah.
there's evidence that we've been visited. So I don't know how, good the evidence is, but, I think we all know that there's some evidence that we've been visited, which means they haven't yet intervened negatively towards us. If
That we
that's
know
the
of.
case. Right. If that's the case.
Hold on, I'm putting on my conspiracy theory.
Do
that
it.
we know of.
Let's go full Alex Jones here. Let's
I
do
know.
it.
I think Tim thinks that Ryan Walters is an alien.
He is.
Go ahead and explain it, Tim.
Maybe we need to develop a rubric on "Are you an alien?"
His eyes are black. So
Tim.
his like I mean if you just go look at a picture, and I
try not to.
oh
Man,
somebody
y'all
call
don't
the
be
fire department. That
Listen.
burns.
Y'all don't shit on my boy that I got elected. Listen, here's the thing.
Oh,
I don't know if y'all have noticed this or not, but Ryan Walters and I are no longer in a bromance.
I feel like I read that somewhere.
Right.
Or multiple somewheres.
We got him elected because I'll be honest with you, Melissa. There was a status quo that I felt like was not going to change. Something had to change. You got to break an egg to make an omelet. You got to change stuff up. You got to shake the bushes. You got to put people on task, whatever. So I've had Ryan Walters in my backyard. I went and did for him all over the state. And then once he got elected, it was like, I'm not going to need you anymore. Blah, blah, whatever. He hurt my feeling, whatever one feeling I had.
Right.
But I still believe in increasing proficiency scores. I don't give a shit about the woke liberal mob that when he was on our show, I was like, please don't say that.
Yeah.
But when Jacob Rosecrans goes on Twitter every day, and I'm like, Jacob, stop saying his name. Stop giving his base more fuel for the fire. Stop.
Bingo.
Yeah,
I feel like that's fair. And I've heard more than one person say if you're talking to him one-on-one, normal guy, but then social media happens. And it's just there's just a flood of chaos. And I'll tell you, we had our first budget meeting, because they all the agencies come to the Capitol. Here's the money that we would like for our agency. Thank you very much. And we ask questions and they have to explain themselves. So that was a bit of a train wreck. You probably saw that in the news. They had to come back.
Right.
And even then, I just, let's push all the, woke liberal mob and people in school and all of that aside, because that's noise.
Mm-hmm.
Rhetoric.
Let's talk about actually how to improve scores, and how to improve student outcomes. And that's where I feel like there's an absence of comprehension of policy, because what I heard in that budget meeting is, we're going to do science of reading. And I'm like, yeah, we're there. We've been doing that a few years. Yeah, we're going to do this and this and this. Oh, we passed that bill last year. and so this lack of freshness of new ideas, because I was really hoping, okay, what you got? What are we going to do?
Wow.
Are we mentor teachers? Are we going to do this? And so, leaving all the craziness aside, and I have opinions on all of that, but you got to focus on the data and what matters.
Right.
And so far, it's been largely absent, and we keep saying calm down and focus on the job, but we just haven't seen it yet. And the longer we don't, I don't know, it concerns me more. And we know he's under investigation for this, that, and the other with gear funds and federal dollars and all of that. And I just tell people, if you really want to focus on something, focus on the money.
Well, Melissa, who is in politics that isn't under investigation, though? I guess I would ask. Are you?
They're both.
Myself, Jay.
That was an easy one.
That was,
She says next.
What's up, Joe? Joe says, "What's up?"
What's up, Joe? So Jennifer says, "Prager, you sure as shit isn't going to get it done."
Jennifer is correct.
I agree with Jennifer.
Yeah, it's.
Have you guys watched those videos? Any of the videos?
Yes.
Yes.
But I will say this, Melissa. Yeah. The PragerU is almost as bad as the DEI stuff that I've seen as well, where you're we're talking about the pendulum.
Uh-huh.
We got to meet in the middle and go to reading, writing, arithmetic, and science and stuff, and not this indoctrination from we need the 10 Commandments or we need. No, we don't. No, we need to teach our kids how to read the Bible and not believe in the Bible.
So
I can't believe I just said that, but go ahead.
That's a fair point, because you also have, like, here in Tulsa, we have like 45 different religions, of kids that come to public schools. And so that's the job of the parent. If we're talking parent choice, the value statements stay at home, and that's where kids should learn.
100%.
And, but as a principal, let me turn that coin over, Ron, and say, if you want to teach kids and improve scores, you got to get them to school. And how do you, and I was at a school in Tulsa that was an F school. And you need, number one, 5 years to do any new project. And as a legislator, I have to get reelected every 2 years. And so I need to throw the newest program out. And we're going to fix education. Well, stop. Let teachers do their thing. And stop trying to put all these extraneous things on the side of it. But the thing I found is the number one thing I found is kids weren't showing up. Attendance. If you don't show up, you can't learn. And so we took steps to figure out, why aren't you coming to school? Period. And legitimate reasons. Well, I have to work today to support my family. So how do we restructure the day to make it to where you can be? Should you be virtual? Should you do this? That sort of thing. What motivation do you have? But then also in high poverty districts, you have a lot of mental health issues.
Yes.
And it'll take them out. Like, I had a girl, her mom was married to a guy. It was not her dad, which is, and she died. Biological dad was in prison. And so he was it for her. Well, then he, put up a shower curtain in his living room, put a mattress on the floor, and brought in John's. This is a seventh grade.
Oh my God.
John's
meaning
like
pimping her out.
And so, do you think?
Oh my God.
She came to school ready to learn?
Of course not.
What do we need to stop? Well, number one, you call police. Number two, you call social services. And so, like, figuring out what keeps kids from showing up. I don't know what you call that, but it's a formula. Why aren't you here? I'm going to solve that problem. Why aren't you here? I'm going to solve that problem. And we started to see it. And right about year 3, kids really started to show up. And you started to see, uptick in scores. You need 5 years. You need to friggin' trust teachers, because they go to school, they pass their certification tests. We should trust them instead of throwing the next boxed curriculum at them.
Trust and support them.
Yes.
I don't want to go on a tangent here, but
please.
I've talked about this at length on this show and pretty much everywhere else.
You have.
When you look at large cities, the needs of the students that go to those schools are so much different than just about anywhere else that you'll look in large cities. And it's because of things like that. Mm-hmm. You have drug use. You have parents. There's hopelessness. You've got, like you said, kids aren't showing up. And of course, obviously, you look at the schools to see if there's a problem there. But I mean, you're right. There are root issues that cannot be addressed at the school.
Right.
These
Well,
root issues, you
And
have to address them from a societal standpoint.
Right.
We
And you
need
can
to
be
help people.
ticked off at the parent. Fair, legit. Be ticked
Right.
off at the parent. That's not the kid's fault.
Nope.
You're in charge of educating the kid.
Right.
What do? You do what you can with the resources that you get. I had another kid, and this was actually fairly common practice, highly mobile population in urban areas. And so you live side of the street, you're in my school, at my school, you live on that side of the street, you might be at another school. And this apartment complex might have a free to get in, no deposit, 30 days, and then you don't pay and you get evicted, and then you have to move in through the middle of the night with the next over to the next deal. And I mean, that's what poverty does.
Is that real? Is that a real thing?
Oh,
Yeah.
That
And
sounded
so-
like such a white thing I just said. I don't know that. I'm sorry. I'm being real. I didn't know that.
No, it's it's
I mean,
for real,
it
man.
is very Ruby Payne. It's like,
Well, okay.
if you live in poverty, you know how to survive by doing these things. If you're middle class income, you know how to survive by doing these things. If you and surviving and not being homeless looks a lot of different ways.
Well-
If you're about to be evicted and you can move over here, no credit check required, and stay free for the 30 days, and then they put the eviction notice on your door when you haven't paid, you got another 30 days. Well, now you bought yourself 2 months over here, 2 months over here. But this is in this school system, and that one's in this one, which is not good for kids.
Is that a real thing? That really happens?
Yes, a lot.
Yeah. Well, Ron, think of my situation when I was young.
I know.
Right,
Yeah.
my story.
I was going to bring
I
that
lived-
up. Yeah.
I lived on the river in a tent for a year of my life when I was like 13 or 14 years old. We were completely homeless. Granted, my mom, even despite us being poor, you're going to school. So
Yeah.
we'd walk
Same.
almost a mile to the
Same.
bus stop so that they didn't know we were, that we were living by the river. But then eventually the bus driver, I think, caught on because we smelled like campfire every day, So he's like, I can pick you guys up wherever you get on at. So he just picked us up by the bridge so we didn't have to walk every day. So, these are real things that people deal with. And when you're in a city, it's way worse because where do you go?
Yeah.
We had a river that we could go live on, which provided some resources for us. But in the city, you're not going to be dragging firewood through the, down 61st Street. Well, I'm going to my campsite.
You would be surprised. There's a large veterans encampment on the Arkansas River, I want to say, just west of downtown, that, I mean, there's a lot more homeless in Tulsa than
The homelessness in Tulsa is a problem.
and a lot of them are veterans or people with mental health issues or this, that, and the other, or, just life gone wrong.
Well, let me ask you this. Why are we talking about Sasquatch bills in southern, east, southeast, and we're not talking about taking care of veterans and homeless? It pisses me off because there are so many more important problems in our state, and these legislators and these people that are just, they're out of their mind. They just live in this little bubble. Why? How do we solve this?
So, yes, 100% I agree. We gave Representative Humphreys an awful lot of heck about his Sasquatch bill. And
I can't stand that bill. It's a tourist trap. It's just bullshit.
Well, I told him, I said, you want to sell a Sasquatch hunting license? You do it. You go to your home printer, you print off Word,
Thank you for
throw them
that.
in your gas station, but don't involve the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife.
No.
The inner science geek is offended, but it's
That's
also a waste of time. But he would argue, I guess, to turn that coin over, because he actually did have a film crew come in and brought resources and money to his part of the state.
Right. It's economics, but
Tourism.
there's so many. I mean,
There's so
that
many
bill,
things to do.
that
Yeah.
bill went to the floor, did it not?
Yes, it did, and it passed.
But the real bill that parents wanted to go to the floor out of education committee didn't even make it out of committee.
Yeah, it's because
I'm sorry, I'm getting pissed
And that
off.
is that is no answer, but it's the answer, and you have every right to be ticked off about that because I mean we have a ton of really good bills that just die on the vine every year for this, that, or the other reason, and it could be something as simple as a lobbyist says nope, or it could be complicated, you know.
Well, I have another question related to that, because we don't know what conversations that those folks have with the lobbyists and such. And I learned recently, and I didn't know this, but I learned that the legislature is not, they're exempt from open records requirements.
Yep.
So I was like, what? You're exempt from the law, essentially? The lawmakers are exempt from their own law. And so I looked up, well, has anybody tried pushing bills that would reverse that? Because a lot of states require that they have open records.
Yeah.
Is that something you think you would support if that was
Absolutely. I mean,
because another Democrat had pushed one.
Yeah, I stuck my own foot in my mouth first session about some bill, like if we're not willing as legislators to follow the law, what's the point? And then that law got changed that year, ironically. But
that's the only reason that law exists to me. The open record is to keep people accountable.
Yeah, you know what they do in other states, like to tag into that, is budget transparency. And if you think about
special session.
Yeah, that was a whole thing. But
sorry,
Governor Stitt was not altogether off target.
Listen, real quick. Listen, Linda.
Go ahead.
Listen, Linda.
Linda.
Tim loves Governor Stitt, so watch your mouth, okay? I mean,
dude, we're like best friends.
But so he called
even closer.
He called for 3-day public review of our budget. I mean, this is billions of dollars we're spending. And the first year I was there, I think it was like $8-9 billion. I saw it that morning, the bill. And it has gotten better. Chairman Wallace came to us, I want to say, a day ahead of time or 2 days ahead of time, and answered every question that we had about the proposed budget this year. But the public needs to be able to review it and offer public comment. In other states, you have a 30-day public comment, which needs to happen. And, I know Governor Stitt was very irritated that he's been kind of, this last couple, they've kind of carved him out of the process, but he's also done a little bit of that to himself.
Yeah.
And
a little bit.
Just like ever so slight. But we need that. And I mean, that's your dollars. That's my tax dollars. Even the federal dollars, which we don't want, quote unquote, those are our dollars that come out of our paychecks. They don't belong to us. And it just,
thank you.
And we need to know how it's being spent one way or the other, and not after the fact.
Right. Yeah, the lack of transparency is a problem, and I hope somebody pushes the need for us to open those records so that people can just kind of get a glimpse at what in the world are they doing.
That's the whole reason for it. That's the whole reason for it. Yeah. Dear God, Jennifer Harmon, what is this?
Let's see. We've got a long comment here, so let's see. Jennifer says, Melissa, I'm a victim's advocate and a no on DP. I'm not sure what DP is.
That's unfortunate.
Did you sign a letter thanking Stitt for commuting Jones' death sentence because against DP?
Death penalty.
Okay, thank you.
Julius Jones.
Yes, because anyone advocating for his release clearly didn't read the case files without it. Okay, so I believe she believes that Julius Jones is guilty, and she's asking if you thank Stitt for commuting.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Julius Jones was convicted by a jury of his peers, so he is guilty.
Yeah, I mean, from a legal standpoint, yes.
From or a Ron standpoint, whatever.
Yeah. So I guess what is the question I need to answer?
Maybe have you looked into that at all, into the case? Look,
I mean, I followed it just like you and every other, you guys and every other person, and Kim Kardashian get involved in all of that. But I'm also not a lawyer, and I wasn't on the jury, in any part of that. And so all I saw were letters that were sent to us in the public facing effort. So I believe Gosh, that was a few years back. I believe it's kind of watched.
Hang on a sec. Yeah.
So,
to be fair. Yeah.
I'm the second question, or the second part, I thought it was descriptive, but asking because I'm just a whiff outside your district made a lot of people jiggy that Dems advocated for release of a violent habitual offender and rightfully convicted killer.
So Jennifer, if I could, I want to go back and look it up, and you can message me on Facebook, and I'll check to see if I signed the petition. I can't remember because I felt like
that sounds like a politician's answer.
It's the honest answer.
I'm sorry.
I can't remember.
I mean,
So let me see.
Been
I was
a minute.
graduating college when you were graduating. Okay.
Yeah.
It's the honest answer.
No, I believe you. I
can
believe
tell you, at the time, I felt like I'm unsure here.
Okay.
Well, because
I wasn't in the room.
When Jennifer brought this up before, I looked it up the other day, and so apparently it was a eyewitness testimony that had stated the person they saw, there was hair poking out underneath a bandana.
Yeah.
But at that time, Julius Jones's head was shaved. And then the other issue was that the guy that his friend, I guess, because they were convicted together, he had admitted to doing it and taking a plea deal because he got to the prosecutor first and they gave him the deal, so he put it off on Julius Jones.
Yeah.
And that there were 3 people, I believe, that corroborated him when he was in jail making these statements about Julius Jones.
Okay.
And then and that he felt bad, but that he was doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So he said he even planted the gun inside Julius Jones's home.
Oh wow.
So
you talk about nerds. We talked about nerds earlier. Tim reads everything.
Good for you, Tim.
No, because in Owasso, they walked out. The high school walked out in protest for Julius Jones, and none of these kids knew anything about the story or the trial or what was going on. They were just like, freedom.
Yeah. Well, you need to be more informed before you make decisions.
So Jennifer says, I guess what I said was a lie. I don't know what of that was a lie. That's what I've read. So, I could have those a little mixed up. But again, I wasn't a juror. So maybe they heard something that was worse. But I'm of the opinion that eyewitness testimony should never be used to convict somebody alone. And I say that because there is a study that was done, and here's me, I guess, nerding out, as Ron would say. There was a study that showed that if, say, for example, a white person saw a black person doing something, white people are, and this is true for all races, looking at a different race, they have a harder time discerning differences between each individual person. So you line 3 black people up in front of a white person. If they look even slightly similar, they can misidentify them more often than a black person identifying another black person because they see those differences, whereas the other race won't.
Well, that's an interesting.
Yeah, and it's true for all races.
Think about.
So Native Americans would be able to identify characteristics different between natives better than a black person identifying a native, or
pull up Lane's last comment before I say I love black people.
Well, we need DNA testing. I'm in forensic science. Eyewitness account for more wrongful convictions than just about anything. Yeah, I mean and they used that for so long, but this was before we really dug into that and realized just how poor eyewitness testimony can be.
Yeah, because I wore an ankle monitor, Melissa, I don't know, for the last 3 months before this interview. I really did.
No, he's not kidding about that. It's funny.
Yeah.
I used to have kids that had an ankle monitor.
Yeah, I had an ankle.
About them not getting picked to go to your private school.
We've talked about this. We not got a lot of time left, but I wore an ankle monitor from May to August. Because I'm going through a bad divorce and, shit happens. And I was charged with a felony count of burglary. And it was a complete, I think, political hit job. But they dismissed the charges. But I still had to pay the $1,000 cash bail And I'm like, man,
And
this is a racket. This is just a racket. There was
balance.
no evidence. There was nothing. Took my entire summer away from my kids swimming, and it just, we got to get on this criminal justice reform stuff.
I don't even, you know who you should ask? Representative Blancett is huge on this. The fines and fees, the fines and fees structure is designed, you know, to keep a good man down, you know, and the fines and fees and the cash bail, that's her, what is it?
Yeah, we gotta get her on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I think we'll reach out, because this is something that Ron and I have been talking about it a lot, because I'm like, it's always been a problem, but you know, until you're in that situation, you may not realize just how crappy it is to be.
You know, and one of the things that she's working on is really fascinating, doesn't even need legislation, is getting each county to align. Like, if you did this is how many years you get. But if you did it over here, you get, you know, 5 more years than that, because it was in this particular county, because we have this rather independent, we leave it
local control type stuff.
Which is great, and also troubling. I mean, I went to Mabel Bassett, I want to say 2 years ago now.
Don't be name dropping.
It was a prison. So we was prison.
Whatever.
And I sat next to a woman who was and talked to her, and she was like, well, so I allowed my kid to have a party at a house. And then and I wasn't even there, but my boyfriend was, and a kid died or OD'd or like something bad happened. Well, since she was the homeowner, even if she wasn't there, she was on the hook for like however many years. But then the lady next to her, similar story, but it happened in a different county, far fewer years. And so we have to have, I don't know, fairness at some level. I mean, I'm all on board with local control, but some sort of consistency.
Okay, we got a little bit of time left here. What are some things that you want your voters, your constituents to know that you are coming up with in the future for your reelection or whatever? Because you're coming up against I don't know that dude. What's his name? Stan Stevens is running against you. I know Stan.
Yeah.
But the other guy, what's the other guy's name, Tim? I can't remember his name.
Hassink?
Hassink. Paul Hassink.
Hassink? Okay.
No, I'm out on Paul, but anyway, because he didn't want to come on the show, but anyway, I'm biased on Paul. But what are some things that you're going to either promise to work on, or some goals you have for? Because I used to live at 31st Memorial, which I think is your district, correct?
So just outside of it, that's Blancett, Representative Blancett. But I have like just a block past Memorial and a block south Memorial that carved out this little square right there on the southeastern corner that is stayed with Representative Blancett. The rest of it is me. Okay. But yeah, so with education policy, school insurance is a huge deal. And that doesn't sound very sexy, but now it's the #1 expense for school districts beyond teacher pay. And in the last 3 to 5 years, premiums have tripled, and your homeowner's insurance tripled probably. And it's crazy, but now they're paying more for that than they are on teachers. And so we're looking at what other states have done and people are hearing this from across the state. The other piece, 3 or 4 other things come directly from constituents. I'm like in this listening phase right now, because people are reaching out to me going, you ought to pass the bill. But there'll be a piece that I run for a woman who's fully disabled. And in our top 5 counties, if you're fully disabled and you own a home that's less than $125,000, you don't have to pay the property tax. That tax accrues. And so like whoever owns it next or whatever's going to have to pay it, but it's never been updated. And so this year, all of our property values increased in the Tulsa area. And so her 100, and it had been increasing, but this year it tipped over to like, boom, like 10,000 over 125. And she's like, now all of a sudden I own 25 grand in a month, or I have to get rid of my house. And
wow,
fixing that, and that's also not super duper sexy.
Well, and this is what I'll say. This is not the super sexy stuff. It's not the stuff that people give a shit about, but it's real world problems.
Right, yeah. Right. And I have a gentleman who's asked, the driver's license situation. He wants some updates to the driver's license situation because he doesn't want to have to disclose if he has a disability, those sorts of things. And I'm like, okay, well, what, it depends.
Right. I'm blind, but I don't
want to be driving. Right. But I think we can all agree that getting a driver's license is a pain now. And like, we can all remember going and getting your driver's license and leaving with your driver's license at an agency in the state of Oklahoma. And that is now gone because of Real ID and everything. And we continue to improve. And Service Oklahoma gets a lot of heat because they're a brand new stand-up agency for not being able to get it done quickly. And there are other states that are further along in that process. I'm on that committee, and we should be able to get the machine to print those stinking things here in Oklahoma so we can leave with it or have it within the week. And they're continuing to get better. I have another constituent who has a daughter in a wheelchair who pretty much can't go to the playground because, like, you've seen those big swings that a parent can sit with their child if but she's like, the mulch, you can't get the wheelchair mulch. So she's asking for some updates to policy, like, if you go install a new playground, please put footing in, is what she calls it, that allows my daughter to participate as well.
Why in the world? I just gotta say thank you to you and all your colleagues that step up and serve, because I would be like, these each individual complaints, they're not complaints, they're stuff that needs fixing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it doesn't affect me or my family, but we have neighbors and this is your job. And people don't understand that you don't just answer to the majority, you answer to your constituents.
Right. And they are who I answer to, period. And I still have a gentleman who every single year he asks me to run a bill, and I run it every single year on trade-in value on your cell phone, because he goes and trades in his phone, and, your new Apple phone costs you $1,000 or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he goes, but I have this old phone that's worth $800, and I give it to you and I pay the difference, but I'm still taxed on $1,000. And it
oh, right.
What can but I've given you this phone. And I'm like,
that you're going to turn around and refurbish and make money off of.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I do that for him. We also have, there's just so many requests, and some are more legitimate than others. Some I'm like, my heart is with you. I know that won't fly, but let's try a different angle. Like, gosh, during the whole COVID pandemic, my phone lit up with little octogenarian ladies who are like, I'm trying to sign up online and I don't even have a computer. What's online? I don't know. I need to get this college.
Oh my gosh.
Just that granular, but it also fills your bucket more. If that's your choice and that's what you want, I'm going to help you do that. And I'm going to get on my computer and I'm going to have you on my phone. And we're going to get you signed up, and who's going to take you, that sort of thing.
I love that.
And
I love that.
Just, and COVID politics aside, that was their choice. So I'm going to help you do that. And anyway, just stuff like that is the good stuff, but it's not like what looks slick and attractive on things, on mailers or whatever, so.
Well, if you just randomly say the woke liberal mob, you'll have all these, news agencies from across the globe coming at you.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I remember when I first heard woke, and I'm like, you mean awake?
I can't stand that word. I can't stand it.
Yeah. Like,
yeah,
not sleeping.
It's pretty cringy, and it's overused, and I don't know.
But in the best, I understand liberal and conservative, but the truth is we're in Oklahoma, and you're, if I don't listen to everybody, I'm not going to last long,
Right.
And so that's what I try to do.
Well, and that's what we're trying to do here too. We're trying to bring liberals, and because this way, we have a conservative audience generally, and we can have Democrats on here and showcase that Democrats aren't crazy, these crazy people that you think they are.
Yeah, I'm not, trying to push tattoos and weed on kids or anything like that. I don't know.
Well, thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
I don't know about tattoos. I mean, tattoos are okay, but
yeah.
Anyway, weed, no. I got one more thing, Tim, and I'll if I can.
Yeah, go for it.
Melissa, unblock me from Twitter.
Are you blocked on Twitter?
Do you not run your social media pages? Because somebody has me blocked from your page on Twitter.
Oh, let me go. Were you
do
really
it right now? Yes.
Usually, if I block somebody, it's because they're being rude to people in my feed.
I probably was rude, and I'm sorry, but that was years ago.
Have you repented?
We are friends now. We can do this. I've complimented your hair. You have a weird laugh, but
I feel like you did not compliment my hair near enough, and so I'll have.
Okay. Okay. Where can we find you on social media or whatever? Where can people go to for your re-election campaign, stuff like that?
Yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and provenforoklahoma.com.
Provenforoklahoma.com. I see what you did there. I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you gotta lead in where you can.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna share this with our peeps here.
Okay.
That's where you can check her out. That is her website. Bam.
Proven number 4.
I'm over at Twitter going, okay, who have I blocked?
Yeah, you. Yeah.
No,
I'm sure it was a mistake. No, I'm sure that I was an asshole to you, and you're like, no, I'm not listening to this. Block that dude.
Usually, my rule is if you're rude to other people,
Yeah.
I mean, like in something I do, or if you're not a constituent and you're super awful to someone, then I'm like,
oh yeah, then I can
take it.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked with high school kids. I can take whatever you throw at me.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
But, okay. Yeah. I will go look. Rob.
Okay. Make sure and look. Yeah. Cause we're going to be best friends, Melissa.
We're going to be like this.
So much more room for activities.
Like me and Governor Stitt.
It's going to be like this.
Governor Stitt. Don't get me started.
Oh my God.
We'd have to be here for another hour and I'd still be talking.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Anyway, we are coming up on the hour. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share? Anything?
No, just please reach out on social media or contact me directly at my work email. And if you have a problem, let me know. That needs help. I'm happy to do it, whether or not it requires legislation or not. And always willing to listen.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Melissa. I'm going to go ahead and pull you out. If you want to hang out in the green room for a second, we'll catch you on the other side and we're going to finish this up.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. And you have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye. Ron.
Oh my God. I couldn't stand it. I had to, it's such a good show.
It was a great show. She's such a great sport too, dealing with Ron and his stuff.
This is what I'm talking about, Tim. You have to have these difficult conversations with your adversaries. And I don't want to say adversaries is a negative thing, but people that you don't agree with, you have to have these conversations.
Yeah.
And you saw how that went. It was wonderful.
It was. Yeah. And anybody that questioned Melissa as, if her goals and her motives or whatever, I hopefully this puts those to rest. And we're all people. We're all just trying to do what we think is right. So,
and if you live in House District 79, is that what it is? 79?
Yes.
79. Reach out to her, Stan, whoever's running, but do your homework and know what they stand for and know what they're about, and reach out to them. So is all I got to say. That's a good show. I loved it.
It was. And to everybody that watched, thank you so much. To everybody that will watch, we appreciate it. Like us on Loudmouth, on Facebook, and on YouTube. And we will catch you all next time.
See ya.
Peace.